Well, hello everyone. We are here. This is the Jumpin Offsides podcast. This is episode 1. This is Out the Box. Out the Box, which is what we had in week number 1 in college football. We also had big matchups in high school football, which takes us back to our main man here on the couch there. But first I want to talk about this facility that we're at, Louisiana Downs. They've opened the doors for us. They've let us be here again for this podcast and everything that we're going to do from here on out. I mean, hopefully we rule the internet at some point in time. But Kevin Preston and all the gang here at Louisiana Downs, they gave us Pete's coffee this morning. We're drinking. And it takes us to another big thing that I'd like to talk about, because here's one of our hosts right here, Jeff Warren, and he is the founder and creator of the Dream Hunt Foundation, which is an amazing organization that helps the youth who are underprivileged and going through a lot, terminally ill, to be able to go on that dream hunt. And we also have a big banquet tomorrow night at the Horseshoe River Dome for Dream Hunt. So Jeff, why don't you talk a little bit about that for us and what that means?
So we take sick kids and handicapped kids on their dream hunting fishing trip. We have tons of volunteers are fired up about it, and that's what really makes it happen. But we have a big annual banquet, it's our 10th year to have the banquet.
Wow.
So, Horseshoe's been great. We sold, I think, 63 tables in 9 days. So
that's amazing.
It's crazy. It's sold out, and got some great auction stuff for tomorrow night. A lot of good hunts and things like that.
Tell me what you're thinking. What was your thought process when you began that organization, and like what was your motive for doing that?
Man, it's just something that God put on my heart. You know, I've been hunting and fishing my whole life, and so it was one of those deals that if you do something your whole life, you think everyone does it, right? Brock, we've gone hunting when we were kids together, you know, and so you think, oh, everybody does this. And I just felt like God was saying, hey, I want you to do this for other kids. And so the first year, back in 2013, we took 5 kids.
Wow.
And so it's just snowballed from there. And we've taken over 2,500 kids hunting and fishing in 10 years.
Where do you get your places that you guys go? I mean, where do you guys go? Yeah.
So people donate their land for us to come out there, and like if you had a certain amount of land, hey, come on out, man. We got does everywhere, deer everywhere. Bring a kid out. So every kid has a guide, cameraman, a landowner that's kind of hosting them for the weekend. We raise money to cover the cost for everything to bring these kids in. So it's pretty cool, man, to see kids have the opportunity to take an animal for the first time or whatever it is, you know.
That's incredible, and congratulations for starting that, and congratulations to everyone who gives to that, because that's big. That's people with big hearts that are doing a lot for kids. And you just mentioned Brock.
Oh yeah.
This is Brock Berlin. He is he's a host with us, and we're glad to have him. One of the most esteemed and greatest quarterbacks to not only come out of Louisiana but also in the United States. I can give you stat after stat about this guy. I looked up to him for years and years, and getting to watch him play. But he's still, to this day, I mean, you've got the Arch Mannings, you've got all these guys that have been recruited. This guy right here is still like number 7 on the all-time recruiting list for his numbers and stats. So, Brock, we are just so excited to have you to be part of the Jumpin Offsides podcast.
Hey, this is exciting, guys. I'm excited to be a part of this. Sit around with 2 good guys, and we're going to have some good talks. And hey, it's hard to believe that my name is still brought up with all these guys now. You got some serious athletes, some serious QBs that have come through. So every time I see that, it's kind of hard to believe that I'm still hanging around after this long.
That's right. Well, you're a tremendous add to the community, and you know, you played high school football, never lost a game. The famed Evangel Eagles under Denny Duran and Dennis Dunn and all the coaches and legends that came from that program, and then to be one of the heaviest recruited guys to ever come out. What was that experience like?
You know, look, I always tell people that the great thing about the game of football is that it is the most ultimate team sport, right? I mean, sure, I was able to go and set a lot of records and do a lot of big things, but I couldn't have done that without my teammates.
Absolutely.
And I had some great teammates that I got to play with. You know, I go back and people always want to talk about how'd you guys go 60-0 and how did you never lose a game? How did that happen? And it goes back to when we were in middle school. We had a group of guys that grew up together, that played together, you know, and there was a group of us when we were
built a foundation.
Yeah, 8th grade. I don't know, there was about 20 of us that there was a core foundation group of guys that when we came up, it was just, we all played together, we were a family. And because of that, I truly believe that you had the right people involved. Obviously, you got to have some athletes, right, to go do the things that we did. But we had the right guys, and then we had the right coaching staff. You know, you speak of Dennis Dunn and you speak of Denny Duran, 2 guys right now that are doing phenomenal things still in high school football. Coach Dunn now being over at North Dakota and him building that program up. Jeff, your son's being a part of that, you know, and we're seeing some really big things. And then Denny, obviously, back at Evangel, you know, getting this thing going again. He's got this great show out now.
That's what I was going to mention. You know, God Family Football.
God Family Football. It's, you know, it's incredible, and he's getting to share the story.
That's right.
Kind of the new edition story of what Evangel is, and seeing the great things that he's doing there. People kind of get a little glimpse of what it's like there and what we got to. Because for me, playing under those 2 guys, 2 men of God that you know, they care about you as a football player, obviously, and your development, and a lot of guys went on to do great things at the next level, right? But these guys cared about you as human beings, and they were like dads to us. And so I got to be a part of just a phenomenal football program, you know, and in all that, we were able to do some really, really big things.
I tell you something else that people don't even realize about Pastor Duran is what he's done for the community as well. So these helmets right here, Louisville Cardinal, Art Carmody, one of my really good friends, and he's a future guest to be on here. When he graduated from Louisville, this guy was the all-time leading scorer in the NC2A. Well, it wouldn't have happened without Coach Duran. And Pastor Duran, he put his tapes out, got him noticed, got him look, and Bobby Petrino picks him up. Absolutely.
He almost beat us at Miami, man.
That's correct. Yeah. They called him Art-O-Matic.
That's right.
So I still hashtag him on X to this day. Yeah. So Art, when you see this, and you've already agreed to come on, so it's done, and we can talk some real football, and maybe you can help me on my finances too, since you're one of the greatest bankers around. So.
That's right.
Hey, one thing real quick. You mentioned God Family Football, and you said you'd watched a couple episodes. Have you watched any of it?
I watched it all 5 of them. I haven't watched
any of it. Now,
I loved it.
I've seen a couple short clips of them worshiping.
Yeah.
Was it like that when you were there?
Yeah. Denny's, that's his thing.
I mean, immediately in the morning, because y'all had first hour football, right?
Yeah. Obviously, you know, places change is kind of where we used to. They've got this beautiful locker room now and area. We didn't have that back then. I wish we did.
Goes back to that foundation.
That's right. But the heart of the place has always been the same. I mean, the way that we've been taught and the things that we all got to experience is the same thing.
I saw that and I was like,
yeah,
wow,
it's pretty neat.
I mean, every dad's like,
pretty neat.
I want my son.
Listen, as a kid, kid from Athens, Louisiana, so small town USA, and we developed a football program while I was there, and we took one of the coaches from Evangel, Ronnie Powell, and he came and led us to 2 straight state title appearances and everything. So we took a lot of that stuff from Evangel and then everything. But as a kid over there, I mean, Shreveport felt like, you know, it was California to get over here, but you always looked at it like, man, I want to play for that school. I want to be a part of something like that. So getting to see that, and then to see how the inner workings was, and the worship and the heart, and it was the real deal. I mean, you know, I used to go to the Dome and watch them every year, you know, and you know, one thing, and he didn't know me from Adam, but at the victory party after they beat West Monroe, I had my Florida Gator hat on down there, and he was like, "Bro, I love that." I said, well, we got this. And so, and in saying that, I'm a huge Florida Gator fan. So next week is my birthday, the 16th, and I'll be at Florida, Tennessee. But that is also my 30th anniversary of being a Florida Gator fan.
There you go.
It was the Florida-Tennessee game in 1993. Danny Werfel's first game to start as a redshirt sophomore. So it all comes around for me, and then we'll have another future guest. I keep talking about this. Today is not a guest show. This is us chopping it up, talking about ball, and talking about the direction of this show and the people who have gotten us here and everything. But Brock has introduced me to one of his former linemen when he was at Florida, Mike Pearson, and it's a friendship, an instant bond that we had. And I get to spend time with Mike next week down there, and he's going to come up and be on the show.
You got to be careful with Mike now,
Really?
Mike, yeah. He's going to get you there in his suite. He's going to hobnob you the whole thing,
Yeah.
No, that's one of my dearest friends, and I'm glad that we got you connected.
Well, thank you for that.
He's the guy to go with down there, Big P.
That's right. We're gonna make it happen.
That's right.
I'll, much like I'll do to you, I'll put him in a rear naked choke and tap him out if I need to. Yeah. Even with my throat issue,
That's right.
We'll make that happen.
Yeah.
So as we talk about it, let's talk about high school football first.
All right.
And what the week that was last week, we had some games here and there, and then some issues that happened that we discovered yesterday. Yeah. Just like West Monroe's coach, he's on administrative leave now.
So what I saw was there was 4 kids with some heat issues, and man, that's something you got to really pay attention to. And I saw where they practiced inside yesterday, indoors. So I don't really know what's, a lot of programs now. I even know when it was 110 here a couple weeks ago, they were practicing early morning. A lot of these schools said, all right, we're not going between 3 and 6. We're going to go, like we just talked about, first hour PE with these football teams. They're practicing early in the morning, getting all that done, and then watching film and stuff after. That's something you got to watch,
Yeah, it's a topic though these days that you think back when we were playing.
We hate to say that too. Well, back when I played,
you do.
I licked the sweat off my jersey.
You do. And honestly though, it makes you wonder now what's actually happening
exactly
with all this heat stuff, because these heat related issues, we had them,
right?
That's right,
but not like this.
Well, I remember the big one back when we were around was when Corey Stringer died. Minnesota Viking lineman.
Yep.
Well, I don't know if you remember when I was my first year at Florida.
Yes, that's
Ross
right. A. Ross
passed away, and that was a horrible incident.
It was heat related.
Yeah. It was heat related, and it was a horrible incident. I mean, just a terrible thing, and to be a part of it, be close to it, obviously, was tough. But we're just seeing more and more of it these days. And, this is falling on the head coach, obviously. When something happens, the head coach is the one that it falls on. But,
what led up to it?
Right.
Home life. I mean, it's just
I think the red flag is one kid, whatever, but not whatever, but 4 within a certain period of time. I think it's like, okay, wait, what's going on?
Well, it obviously has a lot to do with it, but we're hydrating our kid all the time. Like, hey man, make sure you're drinking the water. Well, I remember
it's tough too, though. You think, because I'm coaching now my kids' football team, and we got them out there in the 110, and you want to push them because kids have to be able to make it into the fourth quarter, and you got to teach kids how to be tough and how to push through, but at the same time,
what's that line?
There's a fine line, right?
Yeah.
It goes back. I remember when my first child was born, and the thing that I kept asking our doctor about was, what about instant or sudden death syndrome? Infant, and she was like, what's a syndrome? A lot of it has to do with your surroundings. A lot of it has to do, are the parents fighting, or it causes anxiousness and all that kind of thing. And then the temperature, the whole everything, the climate of the situation. So it makes you think about these kids that are having heat related, is it something that's bigger, and it's something to tap into, and it's a pondering thing, because I like to overthink everything,
right?
Everything,
like
and challenge. Yeah, I mean, I'm not just going to take what somebody says and then just, okay, that's the way it is. No, we're going to think about this. So break it down and see, is this a syndrome? Is this, what is it? And it's like politics, religion, and her. There's all kinds of things that you can. Everybody's going to have a different scenario on everything.
Yeah.
But that's huge in the West Monroe world, in high school football in general. But like over there, your head coach is out.
Yeah.
Now where do we go?
Yeah.
What do we do?
It's going to make an impact on that team for sure. Mm-hmm. It's going to take these guys, or assistant guys, leaders of that team, to really step up and rally around. Because when you're head coach, something happens. Obviously, he's the leader in the organization and the voice, and so now it's going to take. You're
looking to somebody else at this point, and who is that?
It'll be interesting to see how the season where it goes with these guys, because there's some good high school teams out there right now. There's some really good teams.
And speaking of that, so give me some matchups this week that are happening in high school. I know you follow it really closely because you've got a kid playing for North DeSoto, and they are red hot and with an amazing quarterback. And he's was he a freshman?
He's sophomore.
A starting receiver. So I know that's big for you, Dad.
My son or the quarterback?
Your son.
Oh, my son's a freshman.
Yeah.
So he's rotating in and got to start last week. But Delafield's a great quarterback, sophomore. Brock's done some stuff with him. Man, he's got good footwork, good release, strong arm, good head on his shoulders. We got beat last week by Airline. Had a terrible third quarter. Got beat 53-42. Airline's a good football.
They are a good team.
They are a good team. So you got to give props to them.
Got a good quarterback too at Airline as well.
Yep. Yeah, he's a great player. So, but North DeSoto's got Center Texas this week in Stonewall. So they're looking forward for a rebound. So they've been working hard. The intensity level kind of went from here to about here.
Oh, good.
Week. So it's there were some eyebrows raised this week. So they're like, okay. There's an expectation to win, and Brock knows about that. I know, and you know about that.
Well, I'm a winner, of course.
No doubt, we are a champion.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, that's a big matchup. Evangel had a close game with Neville, went to double overtime.
Yeah.
Hey, and you know what? I like them going for two on the road.
That's right.
Monroe.
That's right.
They, I love
tie at home, win on the road. Get out of there. That's the coaching philosophy.
I'm still iffy on the call. I think he was in. I think he was in. That's
So it was like a quarterback.
Not your fault. Not your fault.
Not your call.
Not my call. But I thought, hey, we're aggressive. You want to win, and they went for it. It was a great game. Great game in front of a great crowd. Now Evangel's got Mansfield at home tomorrow, Thursday. So that'll be a good one. You look at North DeSoto and Evangel come out, they get punched in the mouth first week. Sometimes that's what it takes.
Yep. We're going to get to that in a minute with my school and getting punched in the mouth right off the bat. Maybe a little bit worse too.
But going back to that North DeSoto Airline game is a battle of two great quarterbacks. Two really good local quarterbacks, young quarterbacks, both sophomores. Both
schools trending upwards no matter what. Airline, I like their coach. I think they're well coached. They're going to put points up. They showed that last year. They have it trending in the right direction. And North DeSoto is a team that, if Dennis Dunn's behind the play sheet, I'm in on it. And I'm a big fan of Dennis Dunn and his coaching style. And I did a little junior varsity coaching myself back in the Gap, and I'd wear the button down with the tie in the ball cap. I mirrored him.
He's a great coach. He coaches them hard, and I like it.
Good.
He coaches them hard, but he loves them hard too. Yeah. So they don't get much slack. They don't get much, which too. You're not going to get away with much, but I like it. It gives me a chance as a dad to not have to coach him, to come back and just love on my kid as a dad.
Good.
Say, hey man, get your head right, let's go.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I can say that about Coach Dunn. I mean, he is the best of the best, and it's been fun to see him, be able to do the things that he's done at North Dakota. Obviously, take them to the Dome last year. Tough game there, but seeing the rebuilding of this program, the city of Stonewall that's backing him, it's exciting. It's exciting to see. You want to see. Here's the thing, and I think for years what we've seen in this community of high school football is kind of down a little bit, and I think we're starting to see the rise of it again. Right. We're starting to see, there's some really good programs that are being built, and that's exciting.
Talk about one east on I-20, Ruston, and Kyle Williams and the whole game. He's another future guest that's going to be on here.
They have some studs on that D line right now.
Oh my gosh,
huge, bro!
And they are coached up.
Yeah.
Didn't Ruston get beat this past weekend? I think they did.
They were down. They were down in New Orleans playing. Was it?
Josh, look that up.
Get some stats. We got Josh on the stats, fact checking us.
Yep.
I want to say
that's Josh Warren. He's our executive producer.
That's right.
He's all things to us here, right. Facts and info.
Yeah, but Ruston does. They're looking to go back to the Dome. They got beat last year in the Dome, and they have a good team. A lot of D1 recruits on that team, and man, they've got a good one.
Ruston got beat 20-19 at Warren Easton.
Yeah, Warren Easton. That was it. That I tell you, Kyle Williams is gonna have that. He's gonna have them right over there. That's for sure. And it's gonna be fun to see here in the future what he's going to be able to do in Ruston. Obviously, they always have. And we'll have him on the show. I've talked to him already that we have this, and so he'll get in here. And what a career that guy had. Exactly. I mean, and he's part of the foundation, as we talked about. I guess episode 1 should have been the foundation. Absolutely. Because he built the foundation. He was there at LSU under Saban. Yeah. And we left cleat marks all over his back, and he'll tell you that from Florida to LSU. I mean, he'll tell you that. He's, but he went to Buffalo and is a guy with one organization, and he was there when he was bought in, man. Yeah, he stayed there. You don't hear much of that these days. One guy staying that long and to play that position for that long to be. I mean, it's pretty impressive. To do it at a very high level until he retires. No, he's a defense coordinator. Gotcha. Okay. Yep. Wow, that's great. Good man. And an excellent golfer. Well, I was about to bring that up too. This guy's a scratch golfer, and no way. Oh yeah. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And he can turn on one. Back to the target, and when he comes through, it's going somewhere. But he has good touch. I have the touch of a gorilla or the touch of a blacksmith, and it's a farmhand. It is the farmhand. It can't control. Farmhand gets involved too much. Exactly. You notice Brock is sitting over here across the way because he's a little bit scared of that farmhand. That's right. Yeah. You need to start using the backhand. Yeah. No, it's all over. Get the farmhand out. It's all over for the farmhand. So. And as we move, we just had week 1 in college football, and let me say this because we've got a segment coming up for our jailhouse picks brought to you by the Sawdust Pimp, but. Our picks last week, I was at the 4-6s over there with the guys who were dove hunting and doing a little business over there, and so I was on the fly. I went 6-5 on my picks last week. Vegas Dave can't do that. None of these guys can do what I do on picking. So hit that subscription button to the 4-6s. No, what was your 6-5? 6-5. Really? Yeah, it was tough. These spreads being locked out the way they are, it's tough. But, once these tighten up a little bit, you'll see. Later in the season, you get better. No, I mean, it's coming, and you'll learn about the jailhouse picks. But you feel good about it. Yeah, I'm just confident. I'm just confident. Not your fault. Not your fault. We let you pick them. All right, so week 1 we had TCU Colorado, guys. Oh boy! Now that had to have been the number 1 matchup.
I feel like it was an anticipated matchup. Hey, I talked to Coach Dykes going in. This is a guy that didn't get to watch any film or didn't watch any film on Colorado.
Well,
had nothing to go off.
Exactly.
But also Jackson State. I mean, what could you really go off of there? Now, what I will tell you, what I would do.
Yeah.
Or what I would have done, and I don't know if
TCU.
Yeah, if I was Coach Dykes, the first phone call I would have made would have been, he's a dear friend of mine, Courtney Coard, who was the D coordinator at North Carolina Central up there, had the reigning Aeneas Williams Award winner, Khalil Baker, and won our inaugural award for the Aeneas Williams Best Defensive Back in HBCU. I would have called Courtney. Hey, how did you guys defend Shedeur? How did you take on Dion's offense, and how do you combat
Because they shut them down in the SWAC championship.
Well, they won. They won. But they did put numbers up. And Shedeur is a quarterback that he can. He has good weapons around him. I personally, after watching the 3-3-5, I've never been a big guy for that defense. I don't like the way it's spaced out. And Brock, I want you tell me how many of those defenses did you play against?
Yeah, I mean, we saw everything, right?
Yeah.
And that being, if you saw the way they kind of attacked, really, they hit a lot of the shorter stuff, just kind of stuff, guys in space.
They gave them,
and they're getting out, and they're some screens. They hit some things that, and the guys, when they got the ball, they did something with it, right? And so, to me, they could have done a better job defensively, making some adjustments,
right?
But hats off to Dion, his group.
Let's talk about 38 for 40. Was it 38-47?
Yeah,
510 yards. That's a
set a record.
80% completion percentage.
That's amazing.
He had 4 tutters, no interceptions. But now he had 4 guys that were over 100 yards, his receivers. Dylan Edwards, 5 receptions, 135 yards, 3 tutters, and then 1 rushing touchdown. And then Travis Hunter, 11 catches for 119 yards. And then one name that nobody's talked about much, but this is a pedigree game, right? This is pedigree, Jimmy Horn Jr. He had 11 receptions for 117 yards and a touchdown. 11 receptions. He's getting off the ball and getting open and then doing something in space. I mean, that's 10 yards a catch.
Hey, we learned something. Those guys have some weapons.
They do.
Yep.
And
they protected Sanders.
They did a great job, and they're playing with a lot of confidence. So I'm interested to see as their season progresses. There's going to be some games coming up.
That's right.
Here in the next few weeks that they're going to get tested.
They are,
and we're going to see. But I think they shocked the world by doing what they did this first week. Because they were the big talk, and they came out and answered.
They did.
And so it'll be interesting to see as teams begin to understand what they're doing offensively, and allow them to get a good grasp of how to game plan and what they need to do. But as you can see, I mean, you just read off the stats. When you have weapons like that, and Shedeur is throwing the ball like he is,
looking downfield the whole time, I loved it.
It's impressive.
It was a clinic.
Impressive. Yeah,
it really was.
So 2 questions. How good? First one is, how good is TCU this year?
Not good. They're not good.
They're not the team they were last year.
Well,
they got a lot of draft picks off their team. I think the receiver and the quarterback from last year's team, right? So they're maybe rebuilding something like that. And then the second thing is, you're talking about, Colorado being tested because they got Nebraska this week at Colorado, which Nebraska lost last week to Minnesota. But
Matt Rule didn't, that didn't. But he's about to turn them around, and don't be surprised if you don't see him go to Nebraska or go to Colorado, and actually pull something off. I mean,
gotcha.
Because we shocked the world. We're national champs now because we beat a team that played in the national championship last year. So there's a lot of ups and there's a lot of downs. So Dion, though, I think is a guy that can get you back up. I listened to him in the locker room before the game, listened to him after.
He had him ready.
And look, I would play for a coach like that all day long. He's teaching me something constantly.
You mentioned something before the show, kind of in our pre-meeting. Biggest thing is Travis Hunter played 117 snaps, both sides of the ball.
Can't do that all year.
Can't do the longevity. I didn't even think about that part. Dude, that's not even.
Well, think about one high ankle sprain. Hey, we're out a couple weeks for that, and then it's a lingering issue, right? A hamstring or just nicked up.
Well, your body, to play at that level, your body can't do that.
No.
And especially playing the position that he's playing, the positions that he's playing.
Right.
I mean, you can't do that. And so, very, very impressive what the kid was able to do. I mean, hats off to him. I mean, that's unbelievable. But to ask him to do that for an entire season,
I mean, tough.
He's Superman if he can do that.
Gonna
that's
be
all
tough.
I can say.
No doubt. All right, dude. So look, what about your boys? Road tag.
Well,
what about last Thursday night? You had the old Florida-Utah.
Listen.
Hey, that was the first.
I've talked it up all year, and I get excited right before the year. I start thinking like, hey man, I've seen enough of these journeys, enough of this is the swamp. So you kind of get a little feeling like, hey, they might, but they're not playing against. They're just playing ones-on-ones, in practice and scrimmage, and so you start thinking falsely that, hey man, we may be better than we are. Look, Coach Napier, you will never find a guy who is bought in like I am to him. I think he is the guy. He's a CEO. He is an organization builder, and that's where we are right now. We had fallen, and we've been falling since 2010, and we've never given a coach long enough to stay there to get that backbone built. You need backbones like saw logs to be able to hang. And you've got to build that, and it only comes through. And these guys are bought into Napier. They love him. I love him. The run game has to get started somehow. I am not sold on him being the OC. I don't necessarily like that, but the guy's won everywhere he's been. You can say it's wherever, it was here or there. I don't care. The guy wins. Yeah. Got beat 24-11. We just never could get things going, and it leads me to something else we've talked about. This new clock era in college football. I don't like it at all. Like, you take it, Florida having the ball, they're trying to come back. There's no way they can.
No.
I mean,
they totally eliminated the big comeback.
I really feel like they have. I watched Brock can go back to 02 or 03, 04. He had some comebacks against my Gators. The one, down in Miami, where he goes to the student section, boom, boom, and I still remember it. And he's lucky he didn't get the farmhand then. But the problem is there's no more of that. Like, you can't hit Kellen Winslow on a seam for 13 yards and then that clock stop. Let's reset the changer. Hurry.
It changes your whole approach. What we've been taught our whole life. You get into college and really, okay, guys, we're trying to, we got to get a first down here. We don't have any timeouts.
That's right.
The only way to stop the clock, right, is get a first down, get out of bounds, right?
3 to 4 extra seconds.
And so your whole thought process and how you handle a 2-minute situation, how you handle it's just changed everything. Yeah. And to me, I don't like it at all, because that's all part of really being a great whether it be a game manager and understanding how. I mean, there's so many things that are involved with how you handle the end of a game when you're trying to come back, or you're trying whatever it may be, 2-minute drill, 4-minute drill, however that is. Now it's just. Yeah. There's good luck.
It changes everything. That's right.
I don't like it at all.
It's jank. In the words of Brian Procell, it's jank.
Well, it just makes it difficult. It changes your whole strategy. You can't get behind big like that, and there's no chance
That's right.
of coming back. So, so the clock only stops now the last 2 minutes
on getting out of bounds.
On an out of bounds.
On an out of bounds.
So once they set the ball, move the chains, it's rolling no matter what.
Well, I mean, think about it. Go look at all. I mean, you can pull up every great comeback and every great. I mean, it's all about handling the clock.
Exactly.
Everything is about handling the clock.
Exactly.
You know, and it's.
Well, let's look at this.
Think about your timeouts. Think about how you handle. You know, the way you handle your timeouts, because now I'm going to save these timeouts. If we just got a first down, I'm going to save this timeout because we got out of bounds. Right. You know, now it doesn't matter.
It does not matter.
The management style of the game changes.
Well, you look at this. Let's think back to how coaching careers have changed. It derails them. Derek Dooley at Tennessee against LSU with that whole clock. They put time back on, give him another play. Boom, he loses. The wheels ran off at Tennessee after that. And you're talking about a guy that's now he's an assistant coach for the rest of his life. He's a dang good one. You've played for him and all that, and he's a great guy. I love Derek. And so with that being said, I mean, it's going to change. It's going to affect a lot of people moving forward, and in a negative way. I don't think it helps anybody.
Well, you talk about a great comeback. One team this past week that did not need any clock issues being a comeback, that would be Florida State. Holy cow.
The Tallatrashy Community College Criminals. Brock.
Talk about the wheels falling off.
Well, talk about a guy that's seen it firsthand. SEC in Florida State. I refuse to say that name, Tallahassee Junior College. So you have them, so that's a big rival. And then he goes to Miami. You're still in the same conference, still a rival. So
yeah, and I've got no problems with either school because I'm 2-0 versus Florida and I'm 3-0 versus Florida State. So no problems. You know, I got zero problems with both
to quote Bobby Bowden, they're good kids. They're good kids. They didn't mean to steal those shoes. They're good kids. We're just gonna play.
No, I'll tell you. What's Florida State's Mike
Norvell.
Norvell. What a phenomenal job.
He's a Louisiana Tech guy.
Yes,
People don't realize that. He played at Tech.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
He did. He was there with my brother at the time.
That's correct.
But what he, you know, because he got to Florida State, the program was in shambles basically, and everybody's bashing him the last couple of years. This is the wrong guy.
He won 5 games his first year, and then has a 10-win season last year. And it takes time.
It does. It takes time to build a program the way that you want to build it.
That's right.
And I get it, because as fans of these teams, you want to see your team do well immediately.
A lot of money poured in.
But that's life these days. Everybody wants something happens, something, you know, they want instant gratification, and but that doesn't, to build something that's really good, whether that be a football team, a business, whatever it is, it takes time to build it properly the way that you have to have it in order to have, you know, great success. And I think that he's got that program going now the way that he wants to. And man, they look great. I mean, they both sides of the ball, you know, all three phases, special teams as well.
Yep.
You know, I mean, the quarterback went out there. I think he had 4 touchdowns the other night. I mean, just the kid, 14. What's his name?
The receiver.
Yeah, he's 6'7".
Dude,
guys,
he can move, man.
But just, I mean, they've got a lot of good pieces going right now at Florida State. And you know, obviously, you know, with my team down in Miami, we're gonna have to face those guys at some point. I mean, it's Norvell's got it going on right now, and
So Miami had a 38-3 victory over Miami, Ohio, right? The Red Hawks. Am I right about that?
I heard that kid talking smack from Miami, Ohio, talking about, we're about to see who the real Miami is.
Yeah, he needs to go back home.
Yeah, but you see that, and so we're 1-0 down in Miami. You love Cristobal. He is a Miami guy, and now probably next week's guest is going to be, he's the president of the Jim Thorpe Award for for the nation's best defensive back in college football, as well as the Aeneas Williams Award for the nation's best defensive back in HBCU ball. So Mike James is going to be on the show next week. Mike James is a guy that I call Miami Mike. Mike is from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. He remembers when he could go to Burger King and get a hate to say Happy Meal because it's not McDonald's, but he could go there and they would give Cane's tickets with that. He remembers them being down that low before Schnellenberger came. Yeah. But so he can talk all the Miami stuff and about the U and all that with Brock, and we'll be glad to. He's a big fan of Brock and all things Miami, but he's going to be on the show. He'll be our first real guest that we have.
Sweet.
But so they're 1-0, and then they go into Texas A&M.
Actually,
A&M comes to Miami, yeah. To Hard Rock. See, that is this week. A&M is favored in that one, and they are favored by 4.5. I'm going to tell you guys something right now.
You taking it?
I've listened to Brock enough, and we'll get into that on the Jailhouse picks and everything, but Cristobal has something down there, and he's getting his nucleus right. And so that's a big game coming up. We'll talk about that as we go to our matchups coming up. We had Clemson Duke already, too.
I'm about to say ACC stuff, so is Dabo in trouble?
I don't think he's in trouble. I think it's the changing of the guard. I think he's lost something down there. And it all comes, right, without having that marquee quarterback.
Sure.
You don't have a leader in a Trevor Lawrence anymore. DJ, say his last name, Ungalalele.
Who looked really good.
He did look really good.
Oregon State, right?
Exactly.
5 touchdowns.
Exactly. He's a guy that's going to put it together. People jump off too quickly, which goes back to this and that transfer portal. You were a guy that used the transfer, but it wasn't like it is now. You had to sit out a year. Yeah. You watched Miami against Ohio State, right, in the national championship that year that you had to sit out, and then you come in the following year, beat out Ortega and the guys to be the starter. And then lead Miami to some really good seasons. But talk to me about the transfer portal, what your thoughts are on it.
You know, the whole being able to transfer, obviously I was a part of it, right? So it's something that's real, and that it's a good thing to be able to have an option to be able to do. The problem that I have with the portal now these days is it's too easy. It's too easy to go and you get down in your university that you're at and you just decide, I'm out, I'm bouncing, I'm going to do the next thing. Back in the day, before this whole portal thing started, it was tough to transfer. I mean, it was a very, very tough decision for me to leave the University of Florida.
Well, how did that go with Coach Spurrier when you walked in there? And tell me about how that meeting went.
Yeah, I mean, I remember walking into Coach Spurrier's office, and he's there, and it was right at the end of the season. I'm all nervous because I got to have a conversation with the guy that recruited me that I'm leaving now or want to leave because I wanted an opportunity to go play, right? And I remember walking in. Come on in, bro. Come on, sit down.
So you think he already knew just by?
I walked in. And he said, "No, I know why you're here. Sit down. I know why you're here." I said, "Okay." And I know you want to leave. You want to leave, but he was great. He really was. He understood. And he even told me, he said, look, I got 2 great quarterbacks here. I'm playing behind a guy, Rex Grossman, who had probably should have won the Heisman that year. And so it was a tough decision for me because these were some of my closest friends that I'd built bonds with over the last 2 years and still to this day great friends. But I wanted to play. I mean, that was a thing. And so made the tough decision to leave. obviously, for me, it was the best decision I could have made. I love, being able to go to Miami and be a part of that. Our great program down there at the University of Miami, and it turned out great. But it was tough because I had to sit out a year. I had to, luckily I hadn't had the red shirt yet. I played a little bit the first 2 years, so I redshirt that year. But back in the day, they would make it tough for you to make that decision because you had to sit out. It was not a popular thing. It wasn't popular for me to leave from Florida to walk into a Miami locker room where I had to go in there and
Jonathan Vilma, Sean Taylor, Vince Wilfork. I mean,
absolutely.
Reed still there?
Santana Moss.
He had just left. Yeah, he had just left. But
so you had to go
Frank
there
Gore.
from Florida to kind of win the locker room. Like, all right,
absolutely.
guys,
And so
my allegiance is here now.
Yeah, and my whole thing
Kellen
was just
Winslow.
put your head down, go to work, right? And that was something that, for me, just go in there and go to work and prove what I'm there for. And so the whole transfer, the way it used to be, they made it tough for you. If you're going to make a decision to leave and go somewhere, you had to really know you were going to do it, and you had to know that this is where I'm going to be.
Right.
Now guys, they'll just leave and go. They'll go to Louisville today, and then they're going to be at Tech tomorrow.
If they have a good year, too, they know that hey, Georgia.
Yeah.
I can go talk to Kirby. I can end up at Georgia now, and I can be a starter and a big and I'm gonna get a ring.
And you can leave and go play immediately.
Exactly. You lost that allegiance to your school.
Where in the past, you were going to have to sit out.
Yep.
You were penalized because you're having to change. Absolutely, and that's, to me, it should still be that way.
Exactly.
If you're going to leave, you're going to go somewhere. They're going to make you think hard about it.
Which brings us to NIL, which I have zero issue with. I don't care about the NIL. Pay these guys; they need to be. Now there needs to be some sort of structure behind it. All that, but I have more issue with the transfer portal than I do paying the players, paying the kids.
But some of these guys are using the transfer portal to go make more money with the NIL in a bigger school.
Well, so I don't have a problem with NIL at all. My whole thing with the NIL is, look, if you're, because I think these guys should be paid. People don't realize, what
you've lived it.
It's a job.
It is. It's a full-time job, and people say, well, you get a scholarship. Well, you know what?
I don't care about
that. You're doing a lot more than you step on that field, and you're a gladiator. You're doing a lot of things.
And guess what? You get injured and you're done. That Scully's gone.
Absolutely. But my thing with the NIL is, to me, the money should be put maybe in an annuity, some sort of.
Agreed.
Hey, if you come here and you play for the University of Miami,
that's a good point.
And you're coming in and I'm going to give you this, however much money it may be, but guess what? It's going to sit over here in this account. And you play here for 3 years, that money's yours.
Exactly.
Now, if you go on and you decide you want to go play for the University of Kentucky, then guess what? That money's gone.
Goes back to the program.
And so that's a way to keep this NIL stuff, to me, under control, to where now, this guy can't grab his money and he's gone. He dips out the next year.
The transfer portal stuff.
Yeah,
it does.
There's a good example of that.
You're enticing kids to stay.
Yeah.
You got the QB3 and Archman.
Yep.
He's going to make more this year, they're saying, than Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
Because he's on his rookie contract. And that's crazy. I mean, if you think about that, come on, man.
The NIL thing too, you got to think about too, and what is it doing inside these locker rooms, right? You got these kids that come in, a young kid, he's making $3 million. You got a guy that's been in the program for 4 years who's worked his butt off, who may not be making anything.
Right.
And so what is this doing within a team? And really, I don't know. I haven't been a part of a team since all this NIL stuff started, but I have heard whisperings of, it creates some little bit of animosity throughout the group, throughout the team.
It's human nature.
Right.
Human nature.
I mean, that goes for business. That's anything. You got a guy that's been working for a company for 20 years and is
Rotac Services.
Exactly.
Quality is not expensive. It's priceless.
There you go.
Cheap little shout out there.
You got to throw it out there, right? Yeah. And Rotac, tell us how the name came.
It's Gator spelled backwards.
There you go.
Since September 17th, 1993.
There you go.
Right there.
Going on 30 years.
Exactly.
Right.
Next week.
There you go. Congratulations.
Well, thank you very much. I mean, it's all part of the foundation. So Clemson, Duke, we talked about. Texas State upsets Baylor, which is a whole other deal. Like, I've been on the Dave Aranda thing. I like him, and I can recall certain LSU fans that I won't name any names, but were mad when BK got hired there. I want Aranda. And would you? Would you want him? You got beat by Texas State at Baylor.
But you're talking about a legit quarterback. TJ Finley, who was at LSU.
He was an LSU guy, yeah.
Doesn't win the job. Transfers again.
Well, there we go.
To Texas State.
Yeah.
He goes in there and look, he gets a shot.
Plays against one of our local Evangel kids, Blake Shapin.
Yep.
Exactly.
Who was there.
Shapin Toyota.
And Shapin.
No free ads, Shapin.
But Blake, has done a great job.
Yeah, he has.
Go back to the Big 12 championship.
Yep.
2 years ago when he came in and the job that he did.
Yep.
He actually got a sprained MCL. He's out for a couple weeks. Hoping he gets back quickly. But thought he did a great job came back in, played injured. But Baylor, it's going to be interesting to see what they can do and how they're going to fight back from something like this.
Right.
But Texas State, I think that they've got a big thing going from them this year. G.J. Kinney out there coaching, who was a great Tulsa quarterback. Did a phenomenal job. I think he's an up and coming guy that's going to be really good for college football. I don't think he'll be at Texas State very long. I think he's going to move on quickly.
That's right.
And I think that game right there is going to put him on the map.
That's right.
No doubt.
It will for sure. Now, one thing you like to always mention, I don't really care, they beat us homecoming last year, but Vandy's 2-0. I know that pops for you.
Hey, I'm just saying, that's something that's out there. You look at all the 2-0 programs in the country right now, no one would have said Vanderbilt.
They'll still end up figuring out a way to go 500.
Exactly. No, they won't even be 500.
Yeah.
3 and 9.
Yeah.
3 and 9 is my guess. Yeah. 3 and 9.
Jailhouse pick right there.
Yeah, I'll give you my Vandy story. My Vandy story?
Yes, please do. You knocked the wind out of somebody.
So, I remember playing Vandy. I was a backup, Florida, and late in the game, I get in the game, and we're rolling down the field. The stands are kind of clearing out, obviously, because we're beating the brakes off Vandy at this point.
As you do.
And we get to 3rd and 11, and we get out on the field, and we're running a play, and break the huddle, and I don't like the look that I get. So
you see a cover 2 or?
Yeah, they're playing cover 2, and we basically we're running double slants out to the right out of a trips formation, and
is this Jabbar Gaffney and?
Jabbar probably already come out of the game.
Yeah.
I'm in there with I think that Carlos Perez is in there with me at this
there
point.
You go.
We were still young bucks at that time,
What was the play called?
Love those
Brock?
guys.
What was
Slide
the play
Right
called?
92 was the name of the play.
I love it.
And so I get up to the line. I don't like the play, so I decide I'm going to check out to we called it Blue Slide Ralph. So I start checking the play. Blue Slide Ralph. Blue Slide Ralph. And all I can hear to my right is Coach Spurrier over there saying, No! Change it back! So here I go. We got clocks ticking down, 6-5, and I'm back to the original play. And I'm hurrying. I snap the ball, and I take 3 steps, and I fire that slant in there, and that Sam Backer's standing right there. He catches that ball. He runs it back. I chase him down. I almost catch him. He pick 6. I'm diving in the grass. I got grass on my helmet. Obviously, I can't tackle anybody. So I come and I stand on the sideline.
Furious.
Oh, I am just hot. Standing there, and we're about to kick off, and I'm standing next to Spurrier, and I'm just kind of just looking at him, and he's standing there, and finally he looks at me, and he's like, well, "Why are you looking at me?" He said, "I know, I called it, but you threw it. It's not my fault." That was a classic Spurrier, but just one of those stories I'll remember forever. But that was at Vanderbilt. playing there. So that's my Vanderbilt memory. Playing at Vanderbilt.
Well, we didn't lose to them until the last few years with Mullen, and then Coach Napier had a bad run last year with them. So I think we'll get that ship righted. But 3-9 is what I'm predicting there.
I just want to point out they are.
Now, as we go back down I-20 East,
Yep.
good friend of mine, Sonny Cumbie over at Louisiana Tech, he has his work cut out for him, and I do believe he is the right man for the job. I love Sonny. They won against FIU week 0. Week 1, they played SMU. They were dogs, and they got beat 38-14.
They got to be good. I saw they had a late touchdown there toward the end, so it was a runaway for sure.
Yeah.
But man, it is what it is. I don't know how good SMU is. I know SMU got Oklahoma this week at Oklahoma.
Yep. Which will take us to this next week too. We'll start talking about these matchups and then some spreads and for the jailhouse picks brought to you by the Sawdust Pimp.
Don't forget that.
So Notre Dame, NC State. That's a matchup right there. They've got Notre Dame. It's at NC State. 7.5 is what Notre Dame is favored. I like the way they look. I love the quarterback.
Notre Dame or NC State?
Notre Dame.
Okay. And they're
now look. I'm gonna say this. I don't know how we are on making the picks and stuff, but if you do it for points, whatever. I'm not saying do it for money or anything. It's just all in good fun. But the jailhouse picks there, I would say always buy that hook. So it's 7.5 points means they got to win by 8 or more. I'd buy the hook, buy it down if I'm taking NC State where you only get beat by 7 on something like that. So what do y'all think on that game, Notre Dame, NC State? And if you're going strictly by points.
Man, that's a good one.
I like the way Notre Dame can run the football. They're going to take the air out of that clock. You got to look at too. The over/under in that game is 51.
It's at NC State, right?
That's Raleigh, right?
I would take Notre Dame by 8. I would take Notre Dame.
Okay.
Based off the performances from last week, Notre Dame looks like the team to win, right?
Mm-hmm. But Vegas brings that line down to 7.5. They're expecting some home field advantage for NC State, and the Wolfpack are tough at home.
Yeah.
I've seen it year in and year out. You've battled there. Yeah. I've got it starred here, and then you can write it on a rock.
Feeling confident.
I buy the hook, and I take Notre Dame 7.
I'm with you. I'm going Notre Dame.
Yeah, Notre Dame -7.
Yeah.
Write it on a rock right there. Next game, Nebraska, Colorado. We've talked about it a little bit going, and I've got double stars by that game.
No, that one's at Colorado, right?
It is in Boulder. Colorado's favored. They're giving up 3 points. They're favored by 3, and there's no hook. It's just 3 points. Over/under in that one, 59.5.
I'm taking Colorado all day long.
Yeah.
And they're going to beat them by 14.
Jeffy? This isn't going to make for a very good show if we don't have any controversial picks, but I'm with Brock on that. I like Colorado -3.
I think Matt Rule's going to. Here, I'm going to take. Can I put it
You
out?
can say whatever the hell you want to say.
Now there's tape.
True.
Now there's tape. The question is, I think Nebraska's D-line is better than TCU's D-line. There was no pressure on Sanders last week. Brock, you could throw him for 500 a game. Easy.
As QB2.
That's
As
right.
QB2 is clearly chance extravagant.
QB1.
It's QB1. But if there's no pressure and you got all day to read, I mean, playing 7-on-7 and growing up, I mean, if there's no time, there was no pressure on him last week. He did great.
I agree.
And I'm not
So you're going Nebraska.
based on the defense.
Okay.
Ruling it out right there. Nebraska.
There we go.
Jeff,
Nebraska.
I like the pick.
Hey, I'm just telling you.
I like the pick.
Now, the line -3, that's tight. But because they're basically Vegas is saying it's going to be an even game. Don't come down to some kicking.
That's
what I'm hearing.
They're saying there's tape out there at this point.
Yeah, they're saying there's tape. There's a little body of history. I don't know. We'll see.
All right, I've got another big matchup in the Big Easy. Ole Miss Tulane. I like this game a lot. I didn't like it well enough to put a double star on it, but I do like it. They've got Mississippi giving up 7.5.
So
the Sawdust Pimps from there, and they embrace mediocrity over there at Ole Miss in Oxford. They do. And the tailgate atmosphere may be good, but Tulane is where we're going. The line 7.5, over under is 65. So they're expecting points. I don't see, if I'm taking the over under, I'm going under 65.
So
and the reason I say that, Tulane will take the air out of the game too, running the rock, and they'll
What did
slow.
they lose from last year's Cotton Bowl champion team? Did they lose? I don't know what they've lost. Anything? Is their quarterback gone? Because they were good, man. Last year in the Cotton
I
Bowl,
like the way they were built. Yep.
I mean, they played them tough, won the game.
They had a phenomenal season last
They
year.
did.
They made a.
And that is the question there. Are you able to parlay that into this?
So the line's 7.5.
7.5 Mississippi.
And it's at Ole Miss.
No, it's at Tulane.
It's in Tulane.
Yeah. Yeah.
At Tulane.
It's at Tulane.
So most of Tulane's defense is returning. Their whole D-line is returning. Let's see.
Thank you, Josh.
See, that's
Yes.
executive committee.
Well, I mean, he pulled a phone out and looked. I mean, he's on the
let's
don't get carried away
just
here. I
had some
mean, we
questions.
appreciate that, Josh.
came in
but-
quick.
The
He
running
came in
back's
quick.
coming back.
Okay, I like the running back a lot.
His name is Tajay Spears. I think that's how you say it. Tajay Spears.
I believe that's SPAR, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Britney Spears.
Yeah. Yep.
Let's see.
Wasn't like the Claiborne Parish Spears in the logging business. This was Spears like
Different
Marcus.
Spear.
Yeah, different Spear.
Two of my linebackers that were all American are returning. Trying to see. I
So-
don't know if their quarterback. I can't do that.
Well, so I'm going to do something a little bit different there. I'm going Tulane plus 7. I'm buying the hook. So I'm taking Tulane plus 7 in that one. And I'm sorry, plus 8 in that one. Buy it up, buy the hook up. They got to beat them by 8 points or more.
So this is a top 25 matchup.
It is. It is. That's 24 versus 20. And Kiffin's going Kiffin.
I'm going Ole Miss.
Okay. Well, I love
Ole
it.
Miss.
I love it because you're wrong. And
I like the quarterback. I think he's going to do
I
something.
do too.
Now, is
I like
Dart
him.
back in there?
Yeah,
Yeah, Jackson
He beat out
Dart.
Walker Howard.
yeah.
Well, yeah, duh. Walker Howard.
Yep. So I like Ole Miss.
I'm gonna go Ole Miss too.
Good. I'm
I don't
so
think-
glad that y'all did.
Put it on a rock.
Tulane's got it.
Right on a rock.
Right.
Okay, Brock. I mean, well, I mean, that's pretty heavy for you to say that, but that's fine. We're going to see that you don't know anything about ball, and we just lost a plethora of viewers now because they're going, well, this son of a show know nothing. I mean,
Hey, all they got to do is go with you.
that's all they got to do.
I mean, you were only
Hit that
6 and 5
like
last
and
week.
Hit subscribe. Subscribe. Boom. Bing.
Boom.
All right, we're going now. Hard Rock Stadium. A&M's coming to town against Miami. A&M is favored by 4.5. I know the over-under is 51. Where are you going to go? What you going to do, Brock? Tell us what you like on that one.
Look, here's the deal. I am going Miami. Obviously, it's going to happen. My thing with Miami, what Mario Cristobal is doing down there, I've been able to talk, obviously Mario was tight ends coach when I was playing there. It's very
you
close.
had some good tight ends.
Very, very close
Olsen.
friend of mine, but I know his heart. I know what he is building down there in that program. He's doing some phenomenal things. You think about like what Norvell's had to do at Florida State. Mario's doing the same thing right now at Miami. It's taking some time, but he understands he's getting the right guys in that program. If you go back to University of Miami, when Jimmy Johnson came in and he had great success at the University of Miami, there was one thing that he did. He came into that meeting room with coaches and said, here's what we're going to do well. We're going to recruit from Delray Beach all the way down to Miami-Dade. And we will win those recruits.
That's right.
And Mario understands that because Mario was a part of that. Back, Mario was playing back in the day. Him and his brother, offensive lineman there at University of Miami, and so he understands what it takes, and he's doing a heck of a job recruiting that part of Florida, and he understands the talent from Delray Beach all the way down to South Miami, what's there. And so I look forward to seeing. I thought they came out, had a good showing on Saturday. Van Dyke, I think it was 17 of 20. Nothing crazy, anything. But they came out. They played well. It was a solid game. Those games are always tough too. I like to talk about those games when you play a game like that, and you got A&M coming up the next week. Those a lot of times you'll see a close game, or sometimes even a loss because they're looking past. But I think that those guys are really, really getting prepared for this week against A&M. They know Jimbo's going to come down and what he's going to bring. So I look for Miami to win and for it to be the spark of a big season for the Hurricanes this year.
So Jimbo Fisher, he's coming off a very disappointing.
James Fisher used motors. Yep. Never been a Jimbo guy.
I am not a Jimbo guy.
I have pulled against him his whole career.
You talk about a guy who's under the gun. He's got to figure it out, or he's gone. He's a gone chicken. He's got to figure it out. That being said, I am not a James Fisher fan. I am not a Texas A&M fan. It would kill my soul to go for them. I'm going with Brock on Miami. I'm not a Jimbo guy. I just think when you're going in there, I think it's going to be a great environment. Miami, it's a big home game for them early in the year.
Well, I think I think I've listened to you two bumble around about Miami enough, and A&M still has some, I don't say dog like my boy Pat McAfee. He's a dog. I don't say any of that. I say he's a bull. He's a bull. So as far as A&M still has some bulls out there on the field.
Oh, yeah.
They're getting it together. I think they go into Miami and they cover the 4.5. By the hook 4. So A&M, Fisher Used Motors is going to sell the lot today. They will beat Miami down there by 4 points or more. Yep, that's it. Riding on a rock, jailhouse pick right there. SMU, Oklahoma.
You skip that rock across the water.
Right into the end zone, my friend. Did you hear that? That was it. Gig 'em. They scored again. A&M running it up right there. All right, SMU, Oklahoma. Oklahoma ranked 18th. SMU looked pretty good against Tech. 15.5 is the spread there to Oklahoma at Gaylord Perry Field or Stadium in Norman. Going to be tough.
I think Oklahoma, that's the easy one to me. Yeah. Oklahoma covers that.
What do you think, Brock?
I'm Oklahoma. I don't see SMU coming in there, and I think they're going to end up in the fourth quarter. They're just going to, I think they're going to manhandle them, and Oklahoma takes it.
I think our boy General Booty's going to get in that game. It's going to be a blowout.
I'd like to see that.
I would too.
I don't want to see him in those underwear though.
Well, yes, you do.
We did see that.
I like Oklahoma there. As much as I want to see an upset there with SMU, because I think they play fast, they play hard, but I think Oklahoma's too much there. 15.5 is the right spread there. All right, game of the week. Game of the week right here, Ride It on a Rock. We could do a little parlay for perfection here. You might want to spread this bet in with some more, get your big money's worth. Big game coming up, Jailhouse picks, Alabama and Texas. T for Texas. It's in T-Town. Last year in Austin, nobody expected it. Week 2, Texas gave them all they wanted. And I myself I'm a little perplexed with Saban and the quarterback situation in Alabama. So I don't know. The line is 7.5, gentlemen. Where are you going to go? What you going to do right here with Bama and Texas? Jeff, tell us where you like.
I'm a little perplexed too, because I want to say, don't know, but I'm in most recent history, for sure, I think, since Saban's been at Bama. This is the first time it's kind of up in the air who the starting quarterback is.
Yeah.
So it must be a pretty tight race. I mean, we've always known who his quarterback is. I'm always of the assumption if you got 2 quarterbacks, you don't got one. You know? I mean, who's your guy? Who's the leader of that offense? What did you say the kid's name is he's going with?
Milroe.
I'm buying the hook. I'm taking Bama by 7 at Tuscaloosa.
I think that's the way you want to go with it. Brock, what are you thinking about?
I'm going totally against you guys. I'm going with Texas.
What? Wow.
You say totally against you guys. You don't know where I'm going yet. I mean,
You just agreed with
to
him.
be so presumptuous? No, I'm just agreeing with him because I'm like, oh, yeah, we'll see what you got.
Okay, what you got?
Oh, I'm going Bama all the way.
There you go.
I mean, you don't go into T-Town, and this is a night game. Now, last year, if
So
you'll
it's the
remember,
primetime game.
if you remember, this was the Jefferson Pilot Sports Game of the Week at 11 o'clock last year in Austin. You got to get those guys up for that. You're going over there. You're not expecting much. It's an 11 o'clock kick because we're on Central Time.
They've been terrible for a while.
Yeah. Exactly. So now you're going in prime time. It's probably going to be Herb Street and Fowler calling this game, if I'm correct. Let's see.
So that's the.
Let me do my job.
Check that out and see if it's a Fox game. We'll have probably Joel Klatt and somebody, which I
hope it's
love.
not Fox. I'm so ticked.
I love
TV
it.
right now.
I love
Now
Joel
you don't
Klatt.
have NBC or Fox on Direct TV.
Well, I mean,
Got to
stream it.
Got to
Stream it. Get YouTube TV. They're a sponsor of the show.
All right, 6 p.m. ESPN.
Yeah, that'll be Fowler and Herbie.
Fowler and Herbie.
That's a big college
That's
game
game
day.
day.
College game day is going to be there. McAfee will be there getting everybody fired up.
You know, Brock, they're going to be ready, man.
If Quinn Ewers doesn't get hurt last year, who wins that game?
Texas. 1,000,000,000%.
Thank you.
But
Well, it
you know,
was at
are we living in the
Texas.
past or what? Because, I mean, 11 o'clock kick in Austin, nobody expected anything. Everybody's expecting something out of Sark and the boys coming to town. And I think Sark will have a good feel against Saban. I do. And I think Sark knows how to play against the defense and all that.
I want to know why you're just on quarterback play. Is that what you're thinking?
No.
Or you think because
No,
of what he said?
you
Sark
can't
knows
just have
Saban?
quarterback play. And let me tell you something else. Let me tell you something else. You look at every game that Bama has played, whether they're getting a little bit slow start and they kind of get down early, what always happens? They find themselves in every ball game. I don't think Texas knows how to stay in front of them. You also don't have Bijan Robinson anymore that you had last year. A lot of factors you're not bringing in there.
Listen, I like Quinn Ewers. I like him. I like what
I
he
like
brings to the
Quinn a
table.
lot.
And the uncertainty at the quarterback position at Alabama is what makes me say,
I agree.
we'll see.
But they're
We'll
going to
see.
get the
Look,
calls.
they can
They're
prove me wrong.
They're going to get the calls. They're going to hold, and you're going to see it on the edge. They're running outside, and the guy's jersey's like this. We didn't see it. We didn't see it.
See what?
So I like Bama at home for that reason. And you know what? I always say buy the hook down and stuff to get it to 7.
that's
I'll
my
buy
only
it.
thing.
Bama by 1,000. I'm going to say
my
that.
gosh.
Bama by 1,000
1,000.
run away.
There you go.
They're going to win up front, first of all, and then they're going to hit big play. Those receivers run wild across the middle.
Who's going to throw to him?
Milrow.
Oh,
And QB2, just like you know, QB2. I mean, they could have Gann in there as a starter and just blow it open. And, hey, QB2, come on
There
in.
you go.
Yeah.
all right, Milrow. Let's see what he's got.
Yeah, that's
This is
what.
the one thing your executive producer is going to be outspoken about. I think that you're going to see a very similar situation between Florida State and LSU with the Texas and Alabama game. I think it's going to be a runaway, Texas.
There we go.
Oh my!
There we go.
Now, I think it'll
and
be-
you've
I
got
think it'll
your
be-
Write it
Too.
on a rock.
Right
Hey,
on the
I
rock.
want to know this. How many times has Saban gotten blown out at home?
It doesn't happen.
In the last-
LSU is the closest thing in the 19 year, and that was still a close game.
That was by
They
6.
found a way to come back.
46-41.
I think it'll be close to a point.
That was by 5, not 6.
Y'all watch. Quinn Ewers. Big
Hey,
game.
you heard it here first, right on a rock.
Big game.
Hey, with that, we
a
are
big
going to
game.
wrap up the foundational show right here, episode 1. Thanks, Brock. Thanks, Jeff. I look forward to everything we talk about
too,
from
man.
now on. This is
Good stuff.
this is good. We're going to get this thing going. What I want everybody to remember, though, at Jumpin Offsides, we strive for perfection and settle for excellence. Right here, we are going to wrap it up now. Episode 1. We'll have our guest list coming up, second to none. I want everybody to tune in. Hit that like and subscribe button. Share us. Tell a friend about it. Let's get it going. But thanks, guys, and we're signing off.